Hello, my name is LaVerne Kimball, and I'm pleased to be your host for our schools today. We have a very interesting topic today. We'll be talking about how students transition from elementary to middle school, and we're pleased to have Miss Erika Huck, the resource counselor at Plye Middle School, to join us. Welcome, Miss Huck.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Huck, what are some of the common worries and anxieties that you see that our children have as they think about making that transition from elementary to middle school?
Yeah, it's really common for kids to be nervous about such a big transition coming from small elementary schools moving into the bigger middle school. I think what kids are most nervous about are things like navigating the building, getting lost, worrying about being able to open their locker, figuring out where they're going to sit at lunch. Are they going to know anybody at their lunch table and know who to sit with? Worried what will happen if they do get lost and can't make it to class. Will they get in trouble? Things like that. So we really try to help kids knowing that they have all those anxieties by having lots of opportunities for them to come and orient themselves to the building, to lockers, and then putting systems in place so that they really can help find their classroom and just try to ease some of those anxieties that they have.
Okay, and I know so many times some of the other children can spur it on in terms of intentionally increasing their anxiety and teasing them.
Absolutely. You know, siblings or just even other people that they know in the neighborhood, they often will try to tell them things to actually make it worse, not better.
Well, when is it that parents should start thinking about that transition?
Yeah, well, I think some parents think about it all along through elementary school. Really, 5th grade is when it really starts to heat up in terms of when parents are thinking, boy, my kid's making a big transition. But really, January of their 5th grade year is when parents should just start to remember that, oh yeah, you know what, I'm going to be hearing from the middle school pretty soon, and they'll get a flyer in their child's backpack, or maybe even hear something on the listserv about upcoming meetings and opportunities for their kids and for themselves to get to know the middle school.
And oftentimes I know that staff will share some of the things that they're doing at school to help ease the transition.
Yes, oftentimes elementary school teachers will be doing units, or school counselors in the elementary school will be talking as well about, you know, what the upcoming change and letting kids know what to expect.
Okay, and so I was saying at the outset that clearly there is that anxiety. So what are some of the formal opportunities that are in place then to kind of facilitate that transition?
Well, it varies a bit from school to school, but I think in general, the counselors go over to the elementary school and often bring students that came from that elementary school that are now in middle school to talk to the kids about the registration process and choosing their electives and giving the kids a chance to talk about what they're worried about and what questions they have, and hearing from the other students about that is really powerful for them. In addition, there's parent opportunities to come over to the middle school for parent articulation nights, where they can come and hear about the different course offerings and hear from team leaders and department chairs, arts teachers, all about the options that kids have for next year, which is very helpful.
Very good. So schools can count on those things to be in place.
Exactly.
Very structured, very formal. That's going to be done.
That's right, as well as the orientations that will come for kids. Many schools have orientations throughout the summer, and then there's a mock half day the week before school begins, which is a wonderful opportunity because all the incoming 6th graders get a copy of their schedule, get to go around from class to class, map out the building before the older kids are even there, which is really nice.
That's great to be there alone.
Right.
Yes. So what would you say is one of the biggest changes that the students can expect, though, as they leave elementary school going to middle school?
I think there's a few. The biggest change is probably just navigating having 7 different teachers as opposed to coming from elementary school where you really have 1, maybe 2, but just figuring out the systems and the structures of all those different teachers in their classrooms, I think, is probably the biggest change. Additionally, the increased need for autonomy and independence, you know, just being able to get your homework done on time, to figure out a system for studying, just knowing that you've got a lot more responsibility maybe than you had before. And also, it's the changing social scene, I think, is also a big change. It's just more complex, and figuring out friendships and navigating social issues is a big change.
Okay, and so I imagine there are a lot of people there to help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, knowing this, that at middle schools, we know part of our job is to deal with all of those issues because it's very, very common for all kids. So having things in place to help them with that.
Okay. One issue that you just mentioned was that increased independence. Would you mind speaking to what are some of the issues that are associated with the increased independence and the use of technology? I mean, everywhere we look, we have so much more technology and access to that.
Yeah, well, developmentally, that's really what kids, the middle school kids want, is they want more independence, and in some ways, they've earned it in a lot of ways. And so, for example, in middle school, they're able to sit where they want in the cafeteria. They don't have to walk in lines. They're very excited about all those things. But along with that does come responsibility. And with all of this increase in independence, we also know that middle school students are impulsive and testing boundaries, and they're at an age where they can make mistakes, and experience failure. And in terms of technology, kids are often getting their first cell phone, perhaps getting their first Facebook page or social networking site, and we just know that from experience from being in a middle school that can be hard for kids to navigate. And that when they do make mistakes and it's online, it's just something that becomes a little more permanent when it's involved with a text or with something online, because as you know, it doesn't really go away. So knowing that, there's a lot of prevention programs in the middle schools to help kids learn about technology and how to be safe.
That's good to hear in terms of the cyber safety and
Right.
with students really being aware that, just as the name implies, World Wide Web.
That's
Everybody
right.
has access to it.
That's right, and parents to know that as well, so that they can really monitor those tools and help their kids learn how to use them gradually, giving them increased access little bits at a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just as we see the students increasing their independence as they go on from elementary to middle schools, so many times I hear parents feeling that they don't feel that there are the opportunities for them to be as involved with their children as they once were. So how do we make sure that parents know that we still want them involved in their child's educational program?
We absolutely want them involved, and there are still many, many opportunities, despite what their kids may say, because there is a time that at this age where kids really sort of want their parents around them less sometimes. However, there are lots of opportunities in middle school for parents to be involved. Edline is a fantastic resource, and Edline is basically an online grade book where parents can see at any point what their child's grades are and keep really up to date in terms of where they stand, where their student stands in every single class, which is wonderful. And Edline also has a homework board, so that in case the child needs to double check what their homework is, or a parent just wants to see what's going on in class, it's a wonderful way for parents and kids to stay completely in touch with a child's academic program, which is wonderful, and allows for a great communication tool between parents and teachers, because they can make really pointed questions, knowing exactly what's in the grade book, to really have some very detailed questions for teachers when they communicate, which is very nice. In addition to that, there's still all the same opportunities in terms of committees, PTA, different committees for parents to join to help out in the school, as well as field trips and school dances and after-school activities. So we love parents to be involved in our middle schools, and in some ways I feel like the kids need them involved more than ever.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Well, because it really, as I said, is a very challenging age. There's more growth that goes on in the middle school years than any other period in life besides birth to 3. The kids are changing so much socially, emotionally, physically, and they need a lot of help to navigate that time. It's just very, very important for all aspects of their life. And I think it's additionally challenging because that's the very time they're saying, oh, I don't really need you, but they really, really do. Yeah.
Thank you. So as we look at middle school, there just are so many different course offerings. How are parents aware of all of the offerings that are available at a particular school?
Right. So the registration, there should be a registration booklet for every school that the children will get when the counselors come out and visit them to the elementary schools, as well as the websites are a wealth of information, and usually the registration booklets are on the websites as well. There's information about the different courses on the main Montgomery County website, which is also very helpful. And parents shouldn't feel like they have to know everything all at once, because there is a lot of information. So really they can just come to the parent nights, hear about the few elective choices that their kids have in 6th grade, and sort of take it year by year. But the middle schools really do reach out and try to give parents a lot of the information. They can always call and ask a question too.
Okay, and just as you are sharing this information with us today, the counselors play a very pivotal role, don't they?
Yes, they do. The counselors really are involved in helping the kids make that transition and to know about all the different course offerings and different programs that we have at the individual schools.
Okay, and along with that, as parents are trying to, let's say that a parent has been on EdLine and that they have noted some things with their child's performance, if they wanted to talk with a number of staff at the school, what's the best way to go about doing that?
A number of different ways. They can still call by the phone, they can email us, they could call and make an appointment and talk to the counselor. Sometimes if there's an overall concern about how the child is doing in many different classes, just in general, then we could have a meeting where we meet with all the teachers and the counselor and perhaps an administrator. So there's a lot of different options, but I really encourage parents, if they have a concern, not to wait, to please contact the school and let us know. Transitioning to middle school is not always easy, and it is a big change, and it does take kids sometimes a little while to adjust. But if there's ever a bigger concern where a child, let's say, is having trouble sleeping at night or is having trouble eating, or the child is saying, I don't want to come to school, then that's a red flag to right away let someone know. It's because there's often very little problems. It's a big problem to the kid that there's a really easy fix to help them with. So if we know about it, we can really help them.
Okay, so you just talked about that, those red flags. Are there other things that a parent should do if for any reason they feel that their child is experiencing some adjustment issues and going from elementary to middle school?
Yeah, I think maybe, talking to other parents, talking to family members, often they're really wonderful resources, but also being sure to let the school know about it so we can really help to find out if there's an easy solution, or even if it's a difficult problem, to brainstorm with the parent about what we can do to help the child. Some of the things that I've experienced just in my own school that I think are common issues are friendship issues. Elementary friendships that maybe are having trouble making that change over to middle school when there's lots of other new kids involved, and friendships breaking up and meeting new people. Often that can be a big change for kids, to help them figure that out. And also figuring out how to get along with 7 different teachers, and maybe not getting along with a teacher and being concerned about that. And those are all things that we can help with, and we're really used to helping kids with.
Okay, and as you said, that social scene is a little different in middle school than it is in elementary school.
It really is, and as I said, with kids being so impulsive at this age and really pushing boundaries and just sometimes making mistakes, I think we as educators and parents just really need to look at those mistakes, which we know are going to happen. It happens in middle school. Kids fall down, they trip up, they make mistakes, to look at those as opportunities and not worry so much about them happening. They will happen. That's how middle school is. Kids make mistakes, but to look at those failures or those mistakes as wonderful opportunities so they can grow and learn from it, and then eventually head off to high school.
Okay, well, I hear you saying that as students go from elementary to middle school, there are a number of structures in place to really facilitate that transition. I really appreciate all the tips that you shared with us today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you the next time on Our Schools Today.